your martial arts movie podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
Call. I know Kung Fu.
You know, baby.
Fists of Fail.
Jesus Christ, this movie's almost 3 hours long. Could you feel it as you were watching this movie?
How long was John Wick Chapter 4, Will?
4 was, well, according to this, the running time is 169 minutes.
So IMDb says
3 hours.
2 hours and 49 minutes.
Okay, yes.
Pretty long. It's pretty long. You and I have opinions on long martial arts movies or action films.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of John Wick Chapter 4?
Oh, lengthwise or as a whole? Lengthwise?
Lengthwise,
I didn't find too much of an issue with it, although I wouldn't say that the whole experience is entirely paced well. But that doesn't ruin the whole movie experience. But it does feel long for me.
Interesting. Yes. I hated the pacing of this movie. I hated the length.
Okay.
It was a little difficult to sit through.
Actually. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was really surprised how unhappy I was with sitting through some of this because I just didn't like the pacing. I felt the length too much. And I know how some action fans are like, oh, it's okay because there's a lot of action, but it's like, I don't just want shitloads of action. I want a compelling story and characters as well to supplement that action. So,
ooh, you know what? I don't think the length of the movie is necessarily an issue, but for the amount of story we get, or rather like how the movie unfolds, I found that somewhat underwhelming. Story-wise.
So this is no longer written by the original writer of the movie. And I was wondering if that's maybe why something was off for me when it came to the story and the world building, because that's oddly enough the weakest part. Yes, we know. So at the end of John Wick 3, he gets shot off a building. The Continental and Winston, the owner of the Continental, he gets reinstated to the building. John Wick meets up with the Hobo King, Lawrence Fishburne, and we know that John Wick is pissed.
Yeah. And this whole movie starts with, John, you ready? Yeah.
Oh, God.
Echoing how the last movie ended.
Exactly. Just a slight follow-up. Maybe a nod to how silly that ending was in part 3. So the story now is it's revenge again. Yeah. There's just a new face of the overall villain, played by Bill Skarsgård. He is a character called the Marquis, who pretty much represents all of the table being the leaders of the underground world of assassins or whatever in this John Wick universe. And Bill Skarsgård wants to just kill John Wick, and John Wick wants to kill him back. And in the meantime, we get a slew of additional characters now to join John Wick. To join John Wick in his fights. And I saw an interview with Chaz Stahelski, and he was saying that I think he was influenced by the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we have 2 main additional protagonists kind of having a parallel storyline to John Wick's, final journey. We have the great Donnie Yen, martial arts actor, who plays the blind swordsman Kane, and he also played a blind
Everyone's been saying that.
person.
Either he's a cop or he's blind. So he needs to do another movie called Blind Cop, which I think is already which is I think is already a movie.
That's Blind War. We covered that in our Patreon section.
Yes.
Anyway, so, Donnie Yen is forced out of retirement, like all good police officers are. And he's gotta chase John Wick down because the table, their tentacles spread far and wide, and if he doesn't do it, they're gonna get to his daughter, obviously. That's fine. And then we have a new character who I thought was kind of interesting, but they don't really elaborate on his story. He's called
the nobody.
Well, he's called the Tracker. That's what they refer to him. And then the movie they call him Mr. Nobody, played by Shamir Anderson. Yeah. He's an interesting character because nobody actually knows who he is in the John Wick universe. That is pretty unheard of, right? Because everybody knows everybody, and he wants to wipe out his student loans. so he's kind of waiting for the bounty on John Wick to kind of continually escalate, and he is what's he doing? He's kind of he's following John Wick in hopes of, I guess, claiming the bounty on his head. Then he really gets roped in to the whole assassination on John Wick's head.
Well, if we're gonna compare it to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, okay. Well, Shamir Anderson's character is probably the closest to Clint Eastwood's character, because in those films, the Fistful of Dollar trilogy, Clint Eastwood's is a man with no name, and that's kind of what the Tracker is in this movie. And I actually found his character very uncompelling in this movie. I thought the idea was great. I thought the execution was like, oh, they didn't go anywhere with this.
I know. And they gave him a dog, and the whole time I was thinking, when's the dog gonna do dog food?
Well, that's also kind of underwhelming. And oh boy, I feel like we're going right out the gate with some of the negatives. Let me just. There was one thing I had in mind before we started this review, and I wanted to say it right off the bat. This is the most. This movie has like a cherry picking of what made the other movies stand out and put it all together in one. Remember what made the third movie so memorable with the dog foo fight? Well, we have a dog in here. It's just one. One. It appears multiple times. It never reaches that crescendo that the third movie does with the dog foo. But it's there
because it's not trying to do that.
Sure.
The dog action, gun shootout scene in part 3, that is a major set piece. It is elongated and focuses on the dog stuff, which we touched on in our last episode.
Yeah.
In this one, they're like, well, we like the dogs. Let's have them in here again. And it's so secondary. It's secondary to the point where I feel it's unnecessary. And I kind of feel that a lot of things in this movie are absolutely unnecessary. And it could have brought down the runtime a lot.
Yeah. Oh boy. Let's go back to that point we're making. Okay. I think that the story, and this is the spoiler-free section. We're going to talk about spoilers when we get to the Patreon portion of this, as we normally do, or I guess we will do going forward with these newer releases. But let's talk about the story. This is chapter 4. Originally you guys might have heard that they were going to do chapter 5 as well, maybe future ones. I think now they've just they decided just chapter 4 for now. And so it feels like they're trying to wrap up a lot of things here, and that's why it feels so like they're trying to flesh out a lot of story in this one film. However, like you're right, like a lot of this could be truncated for sure, and then without cutting out a lot of the action out of the movie, and it would just feel more like a nonstop action film. Whereas like instead, like we have these long bits of filler, like Ian McShane walking down a hall of paintings. It's like, what is going on? Why is this taking
did you laugh at
that? Yeah, it was a little excessive. Okay. It was like a Tim and Eric sketch.
So right. So just to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah.
I sat down in the theater, and I was anticipating Sausage Fest. And as the theater seats were filling up, all dudes, all men in the theater, opening night. And then, to the right of me, 4 teenage girls and their father sat to the right of me. And I was thinking, oh, wow, this is interesting. Do teenage girls like action movies?
No,
Is
like Keanu Reeves.
Is Keanu Reeves a heartthrob? I mean, he's pretty old, but he is accepted worldwide by the internet.
Yeah.
So, and the general.
Maybe the dad's really into him.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. So
I watched Point Break. Yeah, go ahead.
So the whole time I was like, wow, I'm really curious what their reaction is going to be. Are they action fans? Because I've never met young female action fans before. And so I started tuning in to their giggles and their laughter to scenes that I thought were really cheesy or made me laugh because I thought that was kind of dumb or kind of silly. And to go back now, this long shot of Ian McShane walking down this long hallway with the big paintings behind him, excessively long, not necessary. I'm sure there's some subtext with what the paintings mean, but as it went on and you're wondering what's going on, they started like giggling, like hee hee, like what? They started giggling.
That's sanity
at it.
cracking, right?
Exactly,
there.
yeah. What is this? And I was like, aha, okay. I see what they're laughing at.
Yeah, I mean the movie. Yeah, I don't think the length's necessarily the biggest issue. I do think let's just call it like a movie with a conclusive ending. For what the series is so far, I didn't really think like it was very satisfactory, and especially the way it ends. I mean, it's left rather ambiguous, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And also, it feels like it ends very abruptly. It's like, for a movie this long and trying to address a lot of things that happened in the previous films and everything in the series, I'm surprised that it ended the way that it did. It just came rather quickly, and then suddenly the credits are ending. And that post-credit sequence, it's like, that doesn't really add anything at all. I mean, I get it, but it doesn't really add anything to the...
Since we're not spoiling anything, let's save talking about the ending.
Sure. Of course.
For that
we'll talk about that
section.
later.
So, like, I don't know, like, what did you think about the new world building? Was there any new world building? What did you think of the additions? Because we're globetrotting now. We're in Jordan. We're in Berlin. Paris is the main backdrop. We're in New York for a little bit.
Yeah. Remember what I said in the last film, that what was great about the first movie was that like it was so much of this is shrouded in mystery and mystique. It's John's a part, like we're just in the day in the life of John as he's trying to retrieve, get revenge for his dog, basically. Super simple story, but there's a massive, huge world around him that you just have known nothing about. As the series went on, and especially in the last episode for part 3, we talked about this. I thought it's not necessarily a complaint, but like the mystique is starting to be lifted.
Starting to wear.
We're explaining too much, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I still want there to be mystery behind this. Yes, the table's still really high up. John will never defeat them, but we're explaining too much now. And this fourth movie explains so much that I'm like, there's no more mystery. Like, it really feels like John is an unstoppable killing machine, and he can fight his way out of this. And it's like I want him. At the same time, like, I want this world to still remain a big mystery. Like, you don't know much about what's going on. So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like, this movie doesn't really expand on the universe much from the third movie. In fact, it feels like we've taken some things from the last movie and just kind of literally shoot it in the head. quite early in the film. Like, well, that was kind of like disappointing that we set up so much around this person in the first movie, and then here's like,
Right. I didn't have a problem with some of the story. I guess my disappointment is we are not world building anymore.
Well, how can you, right? Because you're trying to wrap up the story.
Exactly.
Right?
They do expand on the slight world building a little bit with the table. I like that we never see the table. We saw the I guess like the villain of the second movie. He technically gets promoted to a seat at the table. He's the only one we see.
Yep.
In my understanding, but we never see anybody else, which is kind of funny. But that's fine. That's kind of the mystery.
Yep.
And then they elaborate on John Wick finding, I guess, almost like a loophole. Maybe not a loophole. There's a way for him to get out of all of this.
A loophole? You mean like a MacGuffin? A little bit of a MacGuffin.
It feels a little bit, because the way they write it, they're like, oh, actually, there's a way. You don't have to do this anymore, John. That's their world building, and it's fine, I guess. It's going back to a much simpler form of action, surprisingly, right? Without ruining what it is. I was like, okay, I like how they're going to resolve everything with this final meeting between John Wick and the Marquis, Bill Skarsgård. I was like, okay, that's kind of clever. That's kind of cute. But then everything in between is like, we're not world building anymore. Fuck that. We're just, it's almost like this is like the greatest hits. But
oh yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like the greatest hits.
It's like the greatest hits, but then they still do some awesome fucking stuff. I wish it was just all the awesome new stuff. Discard everything we've seen before. I said this in the third movie, like that, judo into armbar into shooting somebody ahead. It's getting samey. And once the action started in this movie, I started thinking like, oh no, this is the same. This is absolutely the same. The first action bits. Because when I think about this movie now, when I think about the action, there are really great moments. Fucking amazing action moments that stand out in my head. And everything else, it was unnecessary. It felt unnecessary because it was stuff we've seen already.
I don't mind if it's something we've seen already, but I actually think that at third movie and this one in particular, the gunplay, like what you're seeing on gunplay wise, it's actually like a downgrade from the first movie. I still look back in the first movie and I'm like, wow, the gunplay in this is great. It's still great. It's so unique. Like now we're starting to shift away from that. And it's slightly disappointing for me, but it's fine. Like I said, as the series evolved, like it just started to incorporate a little bit more and became more of a martial arts film too.
So you know what I noticed? They have new types. There's a few new enemies now. They are the Marquis henchmen. They're upgraded. They are all wearing bulletproof suits. They all kind of fight like John Wick. They hold up the jacket like a bulletproof shield. They can kind of do this gun kata BJJ stuff he does. It's getting visually repetitive. We're just seeing John Wick clones now. Other people fight like John Wick. It's
makes
just
sense.
the same. It's just it's almost like when you have a sequel, it's like, well, do we do something new, or do we just have multiply what was good and like Alien and then Aliens, right? Like more Aliens. Now we have more. Now we have more John Wicks, and I'm like, no, I don't want John Wick to just fight John Wick.
Well, he kind of doesn't, right? I mean, he does.
He does and he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, John, as the movie demonstrates, John is still the superior fighter. So everyone seems like one grade below him or several grades below him. They can never keep up with him. He's a hero. He's going to be overpowered in that regard. I think, just to go back to the story one last time.
Sure.
I said about the last movie, and I made a prediction about the chapter 3 is the way that chapter 3 ends. It's John kind of ends up where he started. So you really could go 1, 2, and then 4. You'd miss only like maybe 1 or 2 little nuances that happen in chapter 3, but you could totally have skipped number 3, which is unfortunate because I think that chapter 4, the action not never, but it rarely ever exceeds like how good it got in chapter 3. Chapter 3, like I'll still think that the action in chapter 3 is by far the best. Not to say that the action here is bad, but it never gets that high. It really feels like we are taking what made each movie good, like I mentioned before, like the little things, like, oh, let's take the gunplay. We'll make it good because people probably noticed that chapter 3, the gunplay wasn't as doesn't excel as much. We'll make it a little better, but never reaches the height of maybe chapter 1 or chapter 2.
Right.
Well, people forgot that there's jujitsu involves. Oh, let's incorporate a little bit more jujitsu, more than the third movie, but it's never gonna surpass the common fight. So it's like it doesn't do anything necessarily like better than any other movie than the other movies. It's just barely above average for each one of them. But at least it has a little of everything.
So I'll disagree with you there. I think the fourth movie has the best action overall.
Okay.
Yeah, the best action overall.
Yeah. Okay. Overall, so that's kind of like
overall,
similar to my thoughts.
It's the best action. It doesn't have the best fight, but it does have. It's kind of like their standout stuff, right? Like I really liked the knife fight in part 3 because that doesn't feel. It feels like a John Wick fight, but it doesn't feel like his other fights. It's different. It's kind of getting cartoony because they're throwing the knives at each other, but it still feels visceral. Like I like that. Yeah. Common fight in part 2, after they throw each other down the stairs, perfect. Love that. It's an excellent combination of him using the guns and then the BJJ stuff and the grappling. In this one, for me, the best fight is probably him using the nunchucks because it stands out so much more than anything else in the movie.
Yeah, you know what? One thing that I do, or I don't know if you agree or not, and obviously we just watched this in the theater, so, lighting conditions probably the most optimal, but I found a lot of the action in the movie very hard to make out at times.
Yes.
The movie's very dark.
I kind of mentioned this in the third one. So when we have that final fight in part 3, when he's fighting Yayan Sasep and then Mark Dacascos, they're in this glass, I don't know, room filled with different glass, lots of neon, similar to the Hall of Mirrors in part 2. I feel like I don't know why they don't want to get out of this neon look. It's okay.
It's part of the look.
It's part of the look, but the problem is they have to color correct it to be black against bright neons.
Sure.
And it's getting a little hard to watch some of these fights now because it's like it's the harsh shadows. It's obscuring the silhouettes we need to see for some of these moves.
Yeah. The first major fight in the movie is very analogous to what those glass mirror set pieces that we had in the earlier films. And I mean, it's not bad. None of this is necessarily bad. Like I don't think any of the action here in this film is terrible at all, like by any stretch. But like again, it doesn't reach the highs of the other films for me. But yeah, I mean, I for sure, like I think that the first fight probably would be my favorite, and then there's a later fight in the movie.
What's the first fight for you?
Well, I mean, the first set piece. We're in. I don't want to spoil it, but like it's with the glass, like the nunchucks you mentioned.
Yeah,
before.
I think we could spoil locations.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's Japan. We're in Japan.
They're in Japan. I think that's okay. See, I wasn't crazy about that first set piece. But it's necessary. They got to set up everybody can fight. Sure. So we have Hiroyuki Sanada in this movie.
Yes.
He's been in with Keanu Reeves before in 47 Ronin.
47 Ronin.
Cover that in Patreon. It's cute. We get him fighting as well, doing katana.
And gun.
Hand
it to him. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, cool. he's much older than everybody. Who's his daughter? I forget who. Oh, Rina Sawayama.
Yeah.
newcomer to the series who plays Hiroyuki Sana's daughter. I thought she was great. I thought she was pretty good. I like what she's doing. She's just doing John Wick stuff, though, right?
With the bow and arrow.
But with a bow and arrow, I wish like not everybody fought like him. I think that's why the knife fight in part 3 was kind of fun, because like he's doing his stuff versus Eastern martial arts.
Sure.
And
well, I mean,
in this movie, everybody kind of fights like him.
I can kind of see. I mean, yes and no. I mean, Rina Sawayama. I mean, she does some of the the jujitsu and judo moves too, which I can completely understand. But then we have like other characters like Donnie Yen, a lot more Donnie Yen-isms. There's Donnie Yen doing Donnie Yen thing, and then Scott Atkins in the movie as well. Like definitely more. Yeah, definitely more. Like their personal style of martial arts. Like a lot of striking, a lot of like Taekwondo, Kung Fu, all that.
So I gotta say, I saw Scott Atkins stuff blowing up my timeline, and this whole week I've been avoiding looking at my timeline because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to get overhyped, and I just kept on seeing like Scott Atkins stuff. I was like, all right, maybe this will be the best fight, right? And man, he is. What the hell happened there?
I don't think it's bad, but it's like it's not a good use of Scott Atkins.
Yes. Yeah. So my thinking was he got a lot of dialogue, and I wonder if he opted for more dialogue over unique fighting, because he's been trying to break into Hollywood for a while now.
Yeah.
And everybody knows he could fight, so maybe he's just like, all right, well, let me be a character, right? Let me.
Oh, well, he's definitely a character. He's quite overacting here.
I like it though. I think he's.
I think
it's pretty silly.
Silly is a good way.
It's a little drawn out to as to what's happening in the story. Like, oh, let me play with my cards. Let's see who's gonna win this game of cards. I was like, oh god, yeah, we know what's gonna happen.
No, the Western, like. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Westerns. I do appreciate them, but like, man, like the Western influence in this movie is very on the nose. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we want to draw some tension here, but I'm like, it's not the most effective for me. Can we just move on with the scene? Like that scene you're just mentioning with the cards. It's like, just move on, please.
And then it's just him fighting Amanda. So it's another rave fight, right? It's like we're getting the best of. We're going back to part 1. We get another rave battle. Oh, the stuff that I was laughing at, the girls next to me were laughing at, and everyone was laughing at, is John Wick going through the crowd shooting people, and in the background, if you look at the background,
pays attention.
Everyone's sexy dancing. Sexy dancing, rubbing their hands up and down their body, like everyone was laughing.
Hey, Molly's a very strong drug, right? No, I thought that at first too, but I keep thinking to myself, like, yeah, that's not the only instance that just everyone who's not fighting, it just turns into a video game NPC.
Yes.
Because later in the movie, there's like a huge car action sequence, lots of pile-ups, lots going on. Actually, it's pretty impressive in terms of like what they could put on screen. But it's like, why are no cars are actually stopping? Like what? Like they just keep whizzing by.
Well, that's a roundabout where the cars are. I don't think we don't have those in America.
We don't have them here.
Yeah, but my understanding is, you just keep going. You just keep going. I don't think you can stop.
Dude, if there's a major shootout, I think you would.
No, if there's a major shootout, I think you're gonna go faster. You're getting the fuck away from those guns.
Yeah, no one looks like they're concerned. They're more like, all right, let's speed up and hit everyone on the way.
Right.
No cops, no nothing. Yeah, but it's the John Wick universe. Like, just anyone who's not an assassin is just like mindless fodder, I guess.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Speaking of, I guess, weird utilization of actors, Marco Zaror is in this movie.
Yeah.
Very, very famous. Was it Chilean martial arts actor? He had a lot more screen time than I was expecting. He is almost like the mini boss. He is just pursuing John Wick throughout the whole movie, and I loved it. I almost wish he had just more to say, because he's just a menace the whole movie, but like in a good way. I almost wish he had a character, but maybe that's where they had to balance it out, right? Like Scott Adkins
Right.
gets the dialogue, Marcus Zaror gets the fights, but he doesn't.
Sure.
He's not a I guess a memorable screen presence.
Yeah, I mean he really isn't. But I'd even take one step forward further and say that he isn't just the mini boss. I mean the way that the movie gets closer to the end, it's like, oh wow, and that's it. And then we have our major tense sequence. It's like not really a fight sequence. A lot more emotional.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Oh, so speaking of that, I want to say, Donnie Yen. I don't remember any of his fight scenes. He's so good. He's so fucking fast. Jesus Christ, he's so fucking fast. The guy's like 60 now. He's so fast. It's so weird when you see everybody doing the John Wick style fighting. You're like, okay, cool. No, they're going with emotions. And then to see Donnie Yen do it, I was like, Jesus Christ, everyone's slow. What the fuck? He is.
Yeah, I mean he's just like all hands.
Yeah, he's all hands because he's got the cane. He's got the cane because he's Kane.
Kane has a cane,
and it's a sword.
Yeah.
And even though I wasn't crazy about his fight scenes, I think they did good on him with making me like him at the end.
Of course, yeah.
And
he has the best motivation in the movie too.
Yes, simple, very simple motivation. But by the time you get to the end with him, you're just like, I don't want these characters to be where they're at.
Of course.
Like, how are we going to resolve this? And I was surprised because I didn't think Donnie Yen was going to be a main character. I thought he was going to be like almost like Yayan or Sisep or something like that, where he's just kind of there to help, maybe fuck off or get killed randomly, like some of these other people do.
Yeah, well, they gave him a little bit more depth, which is kind of nice. And I was expecting like a major, showdown. Like like the result of it would just turn out to be, like, well, that's another person that like easy person to take down at the end of the movie. It doesn't matter because like, well, we'll just continue the John Wick story. Yeah, of course, like it's tragic that they have to go against one another because Donnie had his character has a daughter who he has to protect. But like it doesn't matter because it's this is just the dog eat dog world because it's it's an assassin's life. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. Like they gave Donnie as much humanity as they did in the film, and they really make him like a recurring presence in the film. So like kudos to that, but yeah, I don't know. I still wasn't like a whole fan of the third character, the tracker. Like I thought Donnie Yen and Keanu Reeves, like they work together pretty well, and then we just keep on throwing in this third character in there as if he's like on the same level as them.
Yeah,
like, no, he's not.
Definitely,
he's like, who the fuck is he?
Definitely the weakest link. I thought his anonymity. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It was interesting because nobody knows who he is, which is kind of fun in this world.
Yeah.
But then he just kind of shows up. He kind of shows up to save Keanu, right? Every now and then, and I was like, I don't want, he's a Deus Ex Machina almost. Like I kind of didn't want that.
I thought I was afraid they're gonna do.
What's that?
I thought they were gonna imply that because he's a nobody, like and no one knows who he is. There's another level above the table. Like that's how secretive his. No, I was so afraid they're gonna do that. They didn't really go that route.
Yeah.
But thankfully.
So going back to Donnie, I want to say one thing that kind of broke immersion for me, that he is a blind assassin that can see everything and kill everybody.
Yep.
So his first action scene, he is in a kitchen and he starts putting up these devices and he starts sticking them to the wall. He's crawling around on the floor, sticking these devices to the wall, and you're wondering, what's that? So as the men enter the kitchen trying to kill Donnie Yen, once they go past this device, it rings a doorbell, implying that this person is now in this location. Donnie Yen's bat sonar goes off, and he can now target these men. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's how Donnie Yen's going to be able to see these other people and uses blind kung fu on everybody, and it never shows up again. He just sees everybody. He can easily walk up and down stairs, no problem. I was like, I don't think they should have shown that scene.
Yeah. Hey, no one pointed this out yet, but there's a scene where he's playing cards. And I'm like, how is he playing cards? And he knows exactly what he's holding, too.
I thought, he kind of doesn't he make a reference to him being blind? I can't remember.
No, he puts his hand down. He has like a really good hand. He knows he has a good hand.
Oh, I thought he was going to make a joke like, yo, I can't see my fucking card, you idiots.
No, I think that too. Like, it's strange that he of course, like it was cool that he used the doorbells and such, the sensors, but he doesn't utilize that exactly the same way.
Ever again
throughout the rest of the film. Yeah. But I kind of found that him being blind took me out of the movie too. Like, I get it. The John Wick films originally took inspiration from comic books, but if you go back to the first movie and maybe even the second one, they're relatively grounded.
Yeah. It's in the third one when they start adding the ninja stuff, which I did not like, where they can kind of disappear and reappear. That was like the extent of it, where it was almost getting supernatural. Now Donnie Yen being blind, but
he's Daredevil.
Yeah,
it's weird.
He didn't have to be blind, right? He really.
I would prefer if he wasn't.
Yeah, he really didn't need to be blind. I wish he wasn't. They make a reference that he's blind because he did it for the table.
Yes.
Which I don't care. I just don't care.
As much as I shit on the movie, it's all in constructive criticism.
Oh yeah. So maybe I should clarify. In the third episode, or the third movies episode, I was very critical and harsh on the movie because it's the best action we have in Hollywood. We have right now, hands down, easily. And I just feel that there are a few missteps that's making it like perfect, like this perfect movie that I could recommend. And the action in this movie, it's amazing. It's really good. It's it's up there. But like I said, in the third movie, it feels like we're taking one step forward and then two steps back again because it's getting samey. They're doing some brand new cool things, but then we're just doing different iterations on what we saw already. Like, I want something different. I just want something different. I don't want to see the same things again.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think, like, as critical as I can be, I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't like the film. I think this is still the best action film like we've gotten in a very long time out of Tinseltown. But and I think the only standout, but the thing that makes this movie stand out for me isn't so much about the action itself. Like the fight choreography itself. I think it's more about the stunt work. This movie is the most stunt heavy one out of all the other John Wick films, for my recollection. Like, there's some really good shit that's going on in this movie, and it's all like this major like pratfalls, major like drops, like just people looking like they're getting seriously injured.
Oh man, I'm gonna I don't think it's a big spoiler, but I just want to say this one moment. Keanu Reeves is getting a little too invincible in this movie. So like, there's a moment in the middle of the movie where he fucking falls down from the club scene, right? From Scott Adkins like kicking him over the ledge, and I'm like, that should have killed him. But sure, he gets back up. And then later, towards the end of the movie, he jumps out a fucking window, falls 2 floors onto a van. Is it onto a van? Or it might be onto
a van.
It was onto the van.
He dents it.
And he dents it, and he gets back up, and the whole audience burst out laughing.
Yeah, because like, no fucking way. I think
that. Yeah, like, they're starting to break break realism. Even though these are, it's a movie, but still, he's not invincible. I don't want him to be invincible.
Well, I'm again going back to part 1 of the movie of the series. nothing like, well, not nothing, but like very little of that happens in that. I mean, yes, it could have been a limitation of the budget, but I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. It's like grounded in reality.
They're repeating it again. He gets thrown over the edge by Daniel Bernhardt in part 1.
Mm-hmm.
But
he didn't. I mean, that you can.
No, that's a good stunt, though. That's a good stunt. Because,
yes, but you can theoretically survive that.
That's what I mean, because you can do that. We had a real stuntman do it, and that's fine. That looks cool. In this one, he just hitting slabs of concrete on the way down. You can't do that and not have your face smashed.
Yeah. Well, anyways, stylistically, I understand like why they went that route. I mean, because like now the John Wick movies are really starting to go way past the realm of reality, and like.
Well, that's a shame because I always felt that for the most part they work in being somewhat realistically grounded, minus the ninja stuff in 3. Everything else, like, okay, this is now a martial arts movie. They're really fighting with martial arts.
Yeah.
Sure, he has bulletproof suit on, but within the realm of the movie, it seems like he can pull it up and dodge the bullets and not take damage. He does take damage a little bit sometimes. He gets shot and he gets blown back. It's like, okay, cool. They're making it seem somewhat feasible that this stuff could really happen. The 4th movie really, really pushing that with them throwing each other into traffic. It's fun. It's fun to see. I wish it wasn't so CGI assisted.
Yeah,
because they have to fill the background with the CGI cars and whatnot. Because I have a feeling that's real stunt people at times getting thrown into cars. But it's kind of distracting me. Like I want to know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah. I mean, to give the movie credit, it does look convincing enough. I mean, it's still tense. I mean, it's a very intense action scene, but it's starting to go like more like, oh well, I mean, yes, Keanu's doing. It used to be Keanu's doing everything, which he still is for the most part. He's doing a lot of his own stuff, but like now that you have so much digital trickery, it's like you're kind of taking away from that a little bit, even if it really is him. I
agree.
But that's all like bigger, bigger, badder kind of thing. Like as the series goes on, like let's make it more expansive, like do things we couldn't do originally. I'm like, oh, I kind of like the original movies because they're so like budgeted, like tight budgeted, and everything has to be a little bit more grounded. But I'm obviously beating a dead horse here, like because I love the 3rd one's action, but it's like now we have to do things that are like way over the top, and I don't know necessarily if I think that's the best choice, but hey, the end result is still great. This is what I'm trying to get at, though. So I actually have nothing else to add without spoiling anything. So, Zero, is there anything else you want to add?
No. So we're not going to break down the action because we don't have the movie. It just came out. There's no fucking way I memorized all the action in this movie. It's too much. It's a bit impossible. But we're gonna spoil some action moments and
from what we remember.
From what we remember, and some plot points. So if you want to get an insight into what that stuff is, you can follow us on Patreon at Fists of Fail. There you can listen to all the additional stuff we're going to talk about, plus get some cool bonus episodes.
Yeah. Oh boy, I have nothing else to add. So hopefully we don't exceed the run length of of this movie, freaking almost 2-3 hours. So let's talk about John Wick 4. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We're at the point where we give our recommendations, but there's a whole wealth of audio you would be listening to here if you follow us on Patreon. There you can listen to the entire episode, including an exclusive action breakdown of the fights in the movie. And now on to our final thoughts.
Is that John Wick 4?
Yeah, that's John Wick 4.
All right. Wow, we talked about this pretty long.
Yeah, I know, for a general review.
Review, we gave it a spoiler section where we went...
Yes. That's
where we went deep into, somewhat deep into the plot, but because this is a new movie, I don't want to spoil some of that action because it's really great. I think people should.
Well, not like we can. Our memory's not that good.
I did my best not to look at anything John Wick 4 related, so I try to, just echo that in myself. Like I don't want to spoil like these great moments. Like people be surprised by them, right?
Sure. Yep, absolutely. We did a lot of complaining, but
Yes.
again, I mean, like, but again, it comes from a place of love. Like, I love these movies. I think they're the, the height of action, like as of late, especially out of Hollywood. But there's little things I just didn't like here and there. And it sounds like a lot of little things, but it kind of adds up. But it didn't ruin my overall enjoyment in the film. I came out of there relatively happy, and I had a blast as I was watching the film. It's a little long, but I didn't personally feel it. Like I think there's some pacing issues. Like the third movie, for example, like that one, it really does feel like non-stop action. Like there's a lot of action in that movie, and every time there's an expository scene, it doesn't last very long. Here, you can feel it. You can feel big swaths of time happening before the next action scene.
Yeah.
So, going back to like chapter 2, like how that movie was not as well paced. So, yeah. And any closing thoughts, Zero, before we do our rankings?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, this one was a little difficult for me to sit through, and I was getting a little frustrated with the pacing and the story. It wasn't doing it for me in those aspects. But I've mentioned before, an ending can really sway my opinion on the film. And I really did like this ending. So as complainy as I was, I still liked the movie. I still liked the ending. And the action's pretty amazing, although sometimes it's a little the samey. I think you put it, you said it before, like it's almost like a greatest hits. It's like a greatest hits, and then they do a little more iterations. So it's this weird thing where they go forward and they take a step back. I've been saying that this whole series.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I liked the movie a lot coming out of it. I don't know if I would want to rewatch this though.
Yeah,
that's kind of a shame because I liked a lot of things about it, but I didn't like a lot of things about it, especially the entire experience. Like the endings.
Oh, I
see.
The
ending's great, but you know how like when you like a movie, you're just like, oh, we've been saying this, like, should you watch the movie as a whole or just go back and watch the action? Like, I don't really want to watch this movie again. I kind of just would rather look at the action, but I don't know. Maybe time will change. So when it comes back out, I'll probably give it another watch and see how I feel.
Sure. I mean, juxtapose that to how we feel about the third movie. I didn't watch it a single time again until we did our last review. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember the action being really good, but I held off until we did the episode again. But like I never like set out to myself, I'm like, I need to watch it again because I like that movie a lot. I just watched it the one other time, and here is like I kind of feel the same. Like I'm good with just the one viewing for now, unless we decide to maybe cover it in more detail in the future. But outside of that, like I don't know if I need to watch this again. I think I'm good. I enjoyed it, but for now, I want to say that the one time was just enough.
Sure.
So
what's your ranking, Will?
Oh, I was gonna go first. Okay. Well, so it's still 3, then 1, then 4, then 2. That'd be mine. Yeah. So yourself?
It's weird. Like I don't know how to rank this because, like action wise, 4, 3, 2, 1, right?
4, 3. Yeah.
That's
yes.
That's like a given, I think.
4, 3, 2, 1. I still think 3 has the better action overall.
Really?
I still think so. That's why I'm ranking the third one.
Okay.
It's weird if these rankings change depending on the genre. Which one has the best story? 1. Which one has the best like action? 3. Which one's has the best fight scene of all of them? 2. Depends on like what category. But I think overall movie experience, I think this is on the lower ends.
Okay, so if it's overall, I mean, I've kind of been hinting at it, but if it's overall movie experience, I think my ranking would be like 3, 1, 2, 4.
3, 1, 2, 4. Okay, so you're 2 and 4 are swapped between me and you. I see.
Yeah. Like I kept on saying this in the beginning. Like, just sitting through this was pretty difficult. Like, I didn't have difficulty sitting through the second one. Like, for some reason, this was like just hard to sit through. But it's crazy because I think the action is the best overall. Just the pacing and the storytelling, I wasn't crazy about, but it ends really well in my opinion. It's a nice ending. I feel pretty satisfied with the ending of this movie. So like, I enjoyed it, but my rankings might sound like it doesn't reflect that statement.
Okay. It's regardless of what the opinions are, I think both of us still agree. It's a recommend, right? Like, you still recommend the film?
You just have to. This is no doubt. If you're an action fan, you're eventually going to circle around to this one. It's high caliber. It's the best that's out there as of now. Mm-hmm. And just to see the amount of stunts, martial arts, and firepower on screen, like we're not gonna get this for a while until Chad Stahelski does something else, because he's the forefront of Hollywood action right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So we didn't get John Leguizamo in this movie.
Oh shit, you're right.
And I don't know if you remember, in John Wick 2, John Leguizamo's character comes and he's gonna repair John's car after it gets fucking destroyed in the beginning of that movie. And I think he says, Keanu Reeves asks him, like, oh, when can I have it back? And John Leguizamo says, like, probably 2030. I wonder if they're gonna give us like John Wick 5.
Oh my god.
2030? He's gonna come back? Oh, but so I think John Leguizamo wasn't in this movie because I saw him in New York City today. He was filming a scene and I was walking by and children come out of a subway and they run to him and I don't know, they're like kind of talking and asking him questions.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, I guess he's just busy saving kids. Maybe he's got his own action series going on that we don't know about.